In this episode, Lizzi Neelsen comes to Milwaukee to meet up with David and Kate to build a top 10 favorite shrine quests list. Hello and welcome to another episode of another Zelda podcast. I am David Geisler, your co-host for today's episode, and I am here with my co-host, Kate May. Kate, how are you?
I'm mad that you stole my opening line.
I know, I use it all the time now.
I'm great.
I use it all the time. Another episode of another Zelda podcast with another co-host. I'm just going to use another as much as I can.
It's too clever. Can't stand it.
Kate, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well, as well. I'm very excited because we have a little bit of a sequel episode from season 1. We have a special guest with us today, Lizzi Neelsen. Lizzi, how are you?
I'm so great.
Thank you so much for coming back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Now, Kate, as you know, Lizzi joined me down in Chicago about a year ago when I think you might have had a camping conflict. You had a big family camping trip planned.
Likely. That's usually where I am in the summer.
It was interesting. I was excited to meet with Lizzi, but I was also a little bit jealous of your camping trip because I enjoy camping very much as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so back then, Lizzi met with me in Chicago and we talked about we made a top 10 favorite shrines episode, basically.
Right.
And I knew that I wanted to have Lizzi back this season. She's been participating with some of our blogs and things like that. And you've generally been in the what I said with Shane a couple episodes ago, the kind of like this AZP little family that has
Totally
come to be. And so Lizzi, we decided, well, let's do a little bit of a sequel episode and let's do our top 10 shrine quests.
Yes.
And that was a little bit because I think if you recall, Lizzi, a year ago, we kind of by accident, when we did our top 10 favorite shrines, we a little bit by accident did not select any shrine quests. Isn't that right?
Right. Totally. And I think, at least for me, we kind of found that we were selecting shrines for similar reasons. And right, it's more about kind of the puzzle and what it takes to get through it. And so I think these shrine quests, depending on what we've selected, but right, like a lot of those have those similar things. So it'll be really interesting to see like how this nets out with our top 10 list of like what were we all drawn to.
I agree very much. And then we had another convenient by accident thing where when Kate and I were doing our side quest episode, I think that was towards the end of last season, actually. It's blurring for me just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kate, we, by accident, did not choose any shrine quests.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, we really lucked out here. So this is going to be some really new content today.
Totally.
I'm really excited about it.
Quality
content.
Yep. So that's supposed to be.
We're going to have a quantity of qualitative content. Whoa, that actually worked a little bit. Anyway,
buzzwords.
I was trying to make a joke and words actually came out.
That never happened.
Never.
Me trying to make a joke.
And words actually come out.
So here we are, the three of us. This is the first time we've had three voices on the show.
Yeah.
We're at Kate's house tonight, Lizzi, where this is where we normally record the show.
Is
so
this
welcome.
where the magic happens?
Yes.
Yeah, you could
So
say.
much magic.
So much magic.
And I mean, you could say that we're a Triforce today.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I call wisdom.
dang. Oh, dang it. I wanted wisdom. Okay, I'll take courage. Uh-oh. What's the other one?
Power.
Oh, thank you.
You're Ganon.
Wow.
You're Ganondorf over there,
oh
Lizzi.
my God. I also was like, oh my God, this is like $1 million question. What is it?
Did you see her face? She went deer headlights for a
I
second
literally
there.
did.
Oh no.
It's okay.
What is
It
this
moved
game
fast.
called again?
It moved. What are we playing?
Where am I?
And welcome to the Fortnite podcast. Wait, what?
Oops.
Anyways, I have a little bit of listener feedback I want to do before we get into our top 10 list. I'm very excited because the way the math works out here, to make a top 10 list, there's three of us. I said, well, what if we each pick 3? Okay, that gets us to 9. And then I tweeted out real quick to our listeners what were some of theirs. And perhaps what we can do is at the end of our 9, I'm actually not going to do our listener feedback for the top 10 shrine quests until after we do our 9. I think, you know what I mean?
Perfect.
Cool.
Yep.
I do know what the feedback is. Obviously, I had to kind of organize it today.
You
but
spied.
I did legitimately pick my 3 before looking. And there were some duplicates. I was a little disappointed, but I wanted to keep it pure, so I kept the 3 that I originally picked.
For sure.
However, before all of that, I have a little bit of actual listener feedback to do here. Let's see. Kate, we had a tweet by... Oops, I'm trying to zoom in here on my notes. Alex, who goes by Alex is not at home over on Twitter, said, I'm surprised you... Oh, this is about the our cooking episode, Kate.
Yeah.
Real quick. So at Alex is not at home. Back on April 23rd here tweeted, I'm surprised you missed out hearty simmered fruit. 5 hearty durians in a pan, simple as that, and it gives you a plus 20 extra heart bonus. It's my favorite recipe. And they retweeted or replied again a little bit later. Also, I love the show. Thank you for doing it so consistently well. It's the perfect thing to listen to on the go.
I don't do anything consistently well, so that's pretty cool to hear.
Congratulations, Kate.
Yay, I win.
Thank you very much, Alex. The Hardy Durians. I remember we tried to talk about it a little bit. I kept saying like, "Oh, it's a weird melon, something," and then finally, I will say, Shane and I 2 episodes ago were able to wrap our heads around it, and we did mention the Hardy Durians just a little bit on our Ways to Regain Hearts episode.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I had found a lot of those, which is probably why I didn't think of it, or I may have never even made it before because I didn't come across. I know I came across one at some point, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny. It's
Weird spiky
Yes.
fruit."
yeah."
Yeah, and I could be wrong because it's not the Mighty Bananas there, but I think they're more in the what's the like island type of
The
town,
Farron region over there,
and
I
I feel
believe.
like I did not hit that until like closer to the end of the game,
Yeah.
and in a way. Like, right, you're maximized by how many additional hearts you get. So it's like, it's a lot more beneficial early on in the game.
Yeah.
And again, right, you can do it in any order. So maybe some people found the Farron region earlier and it's more beneficial. Like, you know what I mean? So it just kind of seems like once you get it, you're like, oh, I don't need to spend the 5 durians to get 20 hearts because I actually only can like get 3 more hearts.
Oh, right. I see. Yeah, that's a good point. So in many ways, I would actually recommend for people to go head over to Farron, perhaps fairly early
Right.
on, and get those hardy durians. They're usually up on the plateaus a little bit. I think, Kate, we spoke
That's
about this a
right.
little bit in our recipes episode. And you mentioned that you actually went over to Farron a little bit earlier in the game because you found your bananas there before finding them with the Yiga clan, I believe.
Yes, correct.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Alex. Let's see. Also, Miss Celeste Roberts here on our Patreon commented, this is about our music episode where we were talking about some of the music changing in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And we were speaking about how the music morphs into different versions in the market, which I think is super cool. And I mentioned how like Super Mario 64 would have changing, modifying soundtracks. Also, I believe Super Mario World was one of the first to do that. Well, not really the first video game to do it, but one of the first that I can think of that was a Nintendo game. Whereas when you jump onto Yoshi, the little drums kick in, the jumps in. Well, anyway, so Celeste over here, she said on Patreon, she said, the underwater music comment also reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie games, especially the Atlantis level, if anyone remembers it. And I know that you love Banjo-Kazooie, Kate.
I do. I haven't played Banjo-Tooie. I maybe played it once, like when I was younger and it was newer. But I love Banjo-Kazooie a whole lot. And the music totally does do that.
Yeah, it's almost aggressive where it really changes. The melody stays there, but it's like dunk, 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 and you go underwater and it immediately goes.
Oh,
You know what
nice.
I mean? It is kind of neat. It's a great example. Great example. Absolutely.
So speaking of that, actually, Banjo-Kazooie and music in general, I just want to recommend this YouTube channel that I stumbled upon. He does a lot of video game music, Super Mario World, Legend of Zelda, Banjo-Kazooie. I listened to like an 8-minute medley of Banjo-Kazooie, and he does all the instrumentation. So it's like, that mashup kind of cut up of he
goodness.
does it over and over,
Right.
like once on every instrument. So he's playing sandblocks and keyboard and guitar and bass and like PVC pipes and pan flutes, like PVC pipe pan flutes.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And all this stuff. So the username is PPF. I guess it used to be poop poop fart.
Oh, very classy. Very
And
classy.
like all the comments on YouTube are like, this name does not at all match what is going on this channel. But right now, as far as I know, the name is just PPF because I
Very
think
nice.
he was like, maybe I should edit this to be a little more.
His marketing team came in. They said,
Yeah,
right.
listen, we don't actually serve chicken. We're going to go with KFC. So you got to go with PPF.
Exactly.
Right,
So
right.
check them out. Again, lots of really cool instrumentations of video game music. There's Donkey Kong. There's
We should reach out to
Chrono
him and
Trigger. Lots of Chrono Trigger.
See if we
stuff.
can use him as one of our
Totally.
intro songs.
That'd be
Oh.
really cool.
That'd be
That'd be
fun.
awesome.
It's good stuff.
Neat.
Just stumbled upon it
Fantastic.
a
Oh, that's
couple
great.
days ago.
I have a tweet here by Hiddens. Hiddens has mentioned things to us a once in a while, or maybe this was on YouTube. I think this is a tweet though. He said, at another Zelda podcast, yo, I'm a bit late, but here's a fun fact about the Cuckoos in Twilight Princess. If you attack them, heaps, they won't come after you. If you attack them in heaps, they won't come after you. Instead, you get to play as the cuckoo for a limited amount of time. First time I tried it, I was ready for the onslaught, but this took me by surprise. Do you guys know about this?
No.
It's ringing a faint bell. Like I had maybe read about it, but I definitely never did it.
You attack.
Okay.
Maybe it's if you just attack one cuckoo in Twilight Princess, it doesn't work. But apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, you attack a group of them, maybe with a little spin attack or something. You can become. It's vaguely. I'm remembering it vaguely as well. At least maybe seeing it sometime where you walk around as the cuckoo.
But then what do you do as the cuckoo? You just
Probably just jump around a little bit. I have no idea.
just do chicken stuff.
You just do chicken stuff. Yeah.
Enjoy life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, and then real quick, last but not least, I'm going to quick hit 3 iTunes reviews. We're just more like comments. We've been getting a lot of great iTunes reviews.
That's
and
great.
The community is supporting us, and that's wonderful. Every review and every star rating always helps us appear to more and more people on iTunes, which is critically important, and we are so grateful for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, real quick, I have 3 of them here. Quick ones. Let's see. Toxic Flower 4 said, I love Legends of Zelda. I absolutely love this podcast. I play a lot of Zelda games, and it's fun hearing about people's opinions and the gameplay on the podcast. Very enjoyable. Thank you so much. Another quick hit here. We have Hillian Rice. No. Hillian Rice is the review. This is by DHCHSKVYSJ. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
Easy to remember.
But thank you so much, DHCHSKVYSJ. He or she simply says, if you cut down grass in Hatno Village, you get Hillian Rice. We were speaking about where to get Hillian Rice.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I think we talked, both Kate and I spoke about how we were trying to buy it, or some of the wheats are that way. But technically some of the grass, some of the tall grass in the game, that's how actually you can get the wheat. And last but not least here, this is the title of the review is capital Zelda. Kissy face, kissy face, kissy face, kissy face. Very good. Very good. And this is by VV299. Says, I love all of your episodes. 3 exclamation points. Thank you so much. For your cooking show, I always ended up with the rock hard food, sad face. But I heart emoji apples, red emoji apple, green emoji apple. And for fave Zora's, Zora Link from Majora's Mask. Bye. Love the show.
Aw.
Great, huh?
Cute.
Thank
I
you
like
so
it.
much for those reviews. So, as I said, we do have some listener feedback in regards to this exact topic today. But I'm going to save it till the end.
I liked the combination review plus like feedback. That's handy.
It's
Yeah.
starting to happen a little
It's
bit.
like double it up.
Right.
Yeah, be efficient. I like it.
I like it too. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go around the table. We'll just go clockwise, counterclockwise, or otherwise. I don't know if there is actually an otherwise. Those are the
Rock,
only 2
paper,
options.
scissors.
We're going to go into other dimensions and come back. And we'll just build a list. And so I have my 3. I've been talking a lot. What if we hand it over to our guest, Lizzie, and let Lizzie start things off?
Absolutely.
All
Wait.
right.
Yes,
Yes.
start things off.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. Starting it off.
I was almost going to pull back and switch it up, but go for it.
Whatever you want, Dave. Are you still into this?
Let's do
I'm
this.
going
Lizzie.
first. Okay. All right. So my first one, and I will say too, I mean, I guess I put them in my top 3 order, but I think they could all like easily jump around, and I have lots of honorable mentions too.
Sure.
But my first, number 3, the watch out for the flowers. So this
Oh my
is
goodness.
the shrine, right, where there's these lovely flowers around the outside, and you just kind of, you don't think anything of it until you walk through the flowers, and then there's the woman Magda who yells at you and is like, I spent so much time on these flowers, please don't walk through them. So then there's kind of like a little spiral path that you have to follow. And I mean, it's really simple. If you do that, it's over within a minute. But I just find it so delightful, and it's just that humor that runs through all of the Zelda games. And if you keep doing it, you make her really mad. It's this amazing cutscene, and it actually like tosses you out of the flower bed, and you
Really?
lose like a half heart. So like it's kind of like, right, if you keep hitting the cuckoos, you know, they'll
Yes.
start to attack you, and Magda, she will let you know that she's very upset with you.
I definitely upset her once or twice, but maybe I didn't go far enough to
Yeah,
actually.
I forget how many times it is, but I do have a link to the video, so we could link to it so you can actually see what she does. But I mean, she gets mad.
I tell you what, why don't you tweet it out and tag us, and then I'll retweet it.
Deal.
When this episode comes out.
Yes.
Excellent.
Her face is not pleasant. I just looked this one up online, and there's a screenshot of her, and obviously this is an audio podcast, but she's like real nasty.
I remember coming across this shrine quest and think it's a quick little one.
Yep.
But I do remember thinking like, oh, this is clever. It's a little bit more interesting than just putting spikes around a shrine.
Yes.
But it's essentially mechanically a similar thing.
Exactly.
And there's a couple of things within the flowers that you can pick up. I think there's a garden implement of some kind that you can grab.
Right.
If you were to say that it's a
runes.
maze that goes around the shrine, a maze of flowers, there are some quote unquote dead ends that have some items in them, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
This probably would have been one of my honorable mentions, honestly, if I had written them, but I didn't. But now it is. I'm calling it. And the reason for that is because my husband has played a little of this game, not a whole lot. He's more usually into the basketballs and and that kind of, and the Red Dead Redemptions and that kind of stuff. And I'm super team Nintendo. But so he did play a little of it, and this was the first quest he did.
Amazing.
From what I can recall. And so as soon as he came upon it, I was like, ooh, let's see what Bill does. So it does hold a special place in my heart because this is the first quest that he stumbled upon.
Did he do it classically? Did he just walk through the maze?
Yes. Yeah. He's big on exploring, but I don't think he would try to screw up on purpose to see what would happen necessarily.
Right.
So he probably wandered all over the place in the correct areas, but didn't stray off the path.
Right.
Yeah, it is interesting. I've spoken to Bill a little bit about playing The Legend of Zelda, and when he does play it, I feel like he and I do play it somewhat similarly. We do both like to explore. We do not mind not going to the immediate task. In fact, I often purposely just explore and just have a half an hour where I just have it be my own experience.
For sure.
But when it came to that shrine, I do recall, oops, I just bumped my mic. I do recall I tried to get creative, and I remember climbing up a tree and trying to paraglide in.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked, but ultimately I think it took longer to climb the tree and jump in than it would have taken just to take the path, to be honest.
Right.
That was often my strategy in that game in general, was climb up something tall and just fly in, because I don't have no time to try to get in there the proper kind of way. That was what I did a lot.
Fair enough. Okay, well, how about I'll go next here. And let's see. I'm going to pick. I went with my third lowest on the list. Was also kind of a simple shrine quest, similar to "Don't Watch Out for the Flowers." Mm-hmm. And I don't have the official title, even though I do have the official title for my other two. But it was essentially the shrine quest with. I'm almost embarrassed to talk about this, but I just loved this one. It was simple. But it was the 7 goddesses one, where you just have to grab all the orbs and put them into their little...
Totally. Yeah,
I don't think that was...
called the 7 heroines.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
7 heroines. Yeah, not the goddesses. 7 heroines. Okay, I'm typing it in right now. There are many shrine quests or things in Breath of the Wild where you have to find a big magical ball and put it into a reservoir type of thing or whatever it is.
The magical golf.
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah, the magical golf bowl. Exactly. And this is one of them. And you basically have to find, I think, 4 or 5 of these orbs. And they're littered about. There's the massive... Have you found the 7 heroines in the desert, Kate?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's a shrine there that you can unlock by finding these orbs. And some of them are a little bit easy to find. There's one that's very easy just to inform you how to play.
Exactly.
This shrine quest. Pick up the ball, put it in the thing. But then it gets a little bit more interesting. There's a few that are hidden way up on top of the statues. There's some that are a little bit further away. And just climbing these giving you a reason to have to climb these massive statues and have to get a little clever and jump from one to one to one was fun. Just a simple one, and it was a blast. It sounds like you're familiar with this one,
Yeah,
Lizzie.
I am. Yep. So yeah, and I liked it because it reminded me of I like the mixing and matching, and you have to see what the pattern is or the color is or whatever. And it's just one of those puzzle mechanics that I really like.
That's an excellent point. It's not just based on color. It's not just find 4 or 5 of these orbs and put them into their golf ball holes.
Right.
You think that at first, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe throw one in, it doesn't activate or something doesn't happen. And I think if I remember correctly, you find that each of these orbs have markings on them. Mm-hmm. And if you're clever enough, you look up and you start seeing that there's markings on each of the statues.
Exactly. Yep.
I was going to say, I didn't think this one was easy. I remember doing this one and I was like, I think it was only because I couldn't find one of them forever or something like that. I
Right.
just couldn't find the last one, and I'm like, where is it?
Yeah, you immediately find the first one on the ground, and then you kind of assume, okay, I'm probably going to climb these statues. There's probably a few up a little higher. I think you can even kind of see one on one of the statues' hands
Yep.
from the ground, if I remember correctly.
Right.
If you look around. But there is one or two that get a bit more obscure. I don't know if they ever
Yeah.
leave that circle of the heroines.
Right. Or
I
at
don't
least-
think so.
Yeah. Or they're a little far out. Yeah, they're somewhere. I forget where they all are located, but
You might even need to magnesis one or two or something, pull something out of the sand, if I remember correctly. It's a little vague, but I remember just having a good time with that one. It was just a
For
fun
sure.
way to have to. For me, when shrine quests are at their best, it's when they're informing a game mechanic that you could do on your own anyway, but it's kind of teaching you how to do something. And I will speak to that later on some of my other
exactly.
options here.
It's
All right.
like Link's Easter egg hunt.
A little bit. The 7 heroines, you said, huh? That's what that one's called?
Yes.
Whoa! Double voices.
Yes.
We
like
just
it.
opened another dimension.
Kate, what do you have as
I
your first pick?
So my list, and I'm glad I only had to do 3, and that's only because I did not come upon a lot, or rather finish a lot of shrine quests. There are a bunch, and this made me actually researching for this episode.
Yeah.
Made me want to go back and start playing the game again because it's been a while, honestly.
happens a
since
lot.
I have.
When we do these episodes, sorry.
And I have a laundry list of like half done shrine quests where I'm like too lazy to finish it, or I don't know what to do quite next, and I don't want to yet go on the internet to cheat. So I haven't finished a lot. So I was just trying to think of the ones that I had actually gotten through to completion. So people might disagree with my choices simply because they're like, well, that one's dumb. But I'm like, but I finished it, so I picked that one.
That's authentic. That's okay.
So one of mine is The Perfect Drink.
What?
I liked The Perfect Drink. And that's because it has more story to it. It's not just a puzzle. It's like you have to do a few different things, but it's kind of more story centered. And so that's why I like it.
Is this the one out in the desert?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So-
okay, right.
Yeah, so what you do is there's a tired Gerudo woman in the desert, and she needs a drink. The Noble Pursuit is called the drink, which I don't know if there's an actual recipe for that you can like find online, or if they tell you what it is or anything like that. But I should try to learn how to make that. And I'm guessing it's alcohol related because I understand the need to have a nice cold beer when
Of
you're out in
course.
the desert.
Out in the desert, there's nothing better than dehydrating yourself with alcohol.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand where I'm coming from. So she's like, I'm so tired. I need a drink. And it's not water. She's not like, I need some water. She's
Right.
like, I need the Noble Pursuit drink, which makes me think that it's like a super bougie cosmopolitan of the desert. So
Of course.
It could be, yeah.
she just
Yeah.
has to have one last drink. So you have to go to the bartender in Gerudo Town and talk to her, and she's like, well, I can make this drink for you, but I don't have any ice, which is
Yeah, that's
how
right.
do you stay in business,
Right.
ma'am?
Right. But desert. So it's like I could see her problem.
True, I
You know.
guess. It probably melts a little quicker.
Well,
So then
I think you come to learn it does.
yes. So
this
then
quest.
you have to run to the ice house that is to the north. So first you have to find the ice house in general because it's not like right there. You have to walk out a little ways. So you get there, and then there's someone else to talk to, and then you can kind of climb around in that area. Like there's a structure that you can climb up, and then you have to go down below, and
And you kind of go through some ruins to get there. And it doesn't seem like that big a deal as you're heading there.
correct. So once
Yep.
you grab the ice, then you have to go back through the ruins and avoid all the baddies and avoid your ice melting. So you have to stick to the shade and avoid all the monsters. I think I got really lucky in that the monsters just like did not give any craps about me when I was walking through.
Right.
They're like, okay, whatever. I must have found the perfect path, just stumbled upon it and I got to the end just fine. And luckily you don't have to go all the way back to Gerudo Town with this ice. It's just you get to the ruins and then the woman's like, I got it from here. Thanks.
And you're like, you do. Hashtag feminism.
You do you. She's like, I'm in charge now. So I liked this one because I hate pure stealth stuff. Like the Yiga clan gets real old after a while to
hear
me.
ya.
I don't like super stealthy, one hit you're dead kind of things. So this was like a stealth kind of quest without being impossible or
Yeah.
impossibly frustrating. It was doable, had a little mini story. The woman It's so funny because you don't even bring the drink to the woman then. You're just like, it's waiting for you at town. And she's like, great, I'm better now. Thanks, bye.
That's right.
And she just
She
leaves.
runs off.
Yeah.
Now that she knows it exists.
The prospect of alcohol has given me power.
I could have lied to her.
Yeah.
And this would have been fine.
Exactly. So yeah, I like it. It's a cute little quest and doable. The theme of my choices are they're doable. Like what I mentioned before, I finished them,
Yeah,
so
sure.
they're not impossible. That's why.
Well, and that was an honorable mention for me.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, I'm totally with you on it.
I think this is a great pick because also I couldn't help but think as you were talking about I agree with some stealth can be very fun, but when it's essentially try to navigate the maze and you're either seen or not seen, that's usually less than fun.
Yes.
This is a great example of the stealth kind of thing being more fun because there's a couple of variables that you can deal with. You can make a run for it in the sun, but your ice might melt quicker. So you can you can balance the systems a little. You could go very, very slow and stick to the shade. You can run through the sun. You can throw the ice down if you have to, or you can go right for the enemies or try to go around the enemies. I remember one time on this shrine quest, I actually went outside of the ruins and just beelined it along the border. And the ice was melting very quickly. I think I actually made it, but it was scary.
Yeah, it's one of those quests that it gets your heart beating a little faster, but it's not super frustrating to have to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. It's great. It's not just a binary, they see you or not, the alarm got triggered. You can kind of deal with it. And if you do get seen, you can there's a lot of grays in there, but the stakes are still there, which is cool.
For sure.
So that's my first one.
Awesome. Let's see. This is an interesting thing. We stop at like 3 in, but if we're each just doing 3, let me check our time. We are at, okay.
Should we do one more round or?
Yeah, I think so, but we might have a light second half. Let's do this. Let's break it up. I would like for Lizzie, our guest, to have the final one. That's why I accidentally wanted to switch it up in the beginning. I was like, "Oh no, we're gonna finish. We're not gonna finish with Lizzie." So let's rotate back around the other way.
Sounds great.
I'll go with 1 here, and I think that it can take us to the break. Then we'll pick back up with Kate and Lizzie, and we'll circle back through for the rest of the episode. Sound good?
Sounds
Cool.
good.
Awesome. Okay, so my second pick was a shrine quest that I loved. Like 7 Goddesses was kind of fun. It was Jungle Gym, whatever. I am talking about the shrine quest, The Spring of Wisdom. And is this ringing any bells?
Yes.
Maybe?
It's let's call it the Infected Frozen Dragon quest. Up over just a bit north of Hatno Village. If you haven't gone, I know that we've talked about this, Kate. Both of us usually steer clear of the snow, but this is the Spring of Wisdom side quest, and it introduces you face first to dragons. It's a super cool one. She's Googling away.
I'm looking
now,
it up to see if I have done this one because I don't think. Nope, I have not done this one.
Oh, let me tell you all about it. So this is a cool quest. This is you talk to a villager in Hatno Village. I've also heard it pronounced Hatno Village, but I think it's Hatno the way I read it. But anyway, he speaks about this thing out in the basically the camera shifts and they show you a mountain peak in the distance. And he says this and that, okay, fine, go check it out. I don't think he's the town person that talks about the 3 trees lined up. I think that's the lady by the pond.
Yeah, I think it's different.
I forget how he actually sends you out there, but
Yes.
essentially it's just like keep an eye out. Okay,
Right.
head this way. So if you listen to that NPC, you head out up into this mountain, and when you get to the top of this snowy mountain, there is a freaky looking dragon. And it's, we now know these dragons. The 3 of us have probably flown around and gotten
Right.
scales and horns off the dragons. But when you're early in the game, you go there, you're like, what the heck is this thing?
Yes.
And maybe you've seen a dragon fly in the distance and you're like, okay, I don't know what that is. I'm going to
Right.
see that later. But this dragon is essentially like, it's almost like, it's a little bit gross. It's almost like, this is maybe a little too gross, but how mites will sometimes attach themselves to ants, and then the ants have like gunk all over them.
Right.
This dragon has the kind of eyeball parasites, the Ganon
Yes.
eyeball parasites all over it.
Yep.
And the dragon can't move. It's almost frozen. It's alive, but it's almost frozen to the mountain. And you go talk to the Spring of Wisdom statue, which is essentially the Skyward Sword statues that are, you know what I mean? They're out there. And she basically says, hey, this thing behind me, take care of it. And it has a big eyeball on its head, which is not its own eye. I should be clear. It's part of the parasite thing. The parasites, their targets are eyeballs.
Right.
It's always eyeballs in Zelda. And if you shoot that first eyeball, the dragon wakes up and starts flying away. And immediately, it like flies away, not beelines, but it does not hang around the mountain necessarily.
Boy, bye.
You will see that there's 3 or 4 other big eyeballs kind of suctioned onto this dragon, and this thing takes off. And you deduce that you must chase it and hit these other eyeballs.
Right.
So what ensues is an amazing aerial chase and battle. So they give you very generous updrafts. The dragon kind of creates updrafts as it flies around. So you can, a little bit like when you're doing the Varuto pre-mission before going into Varuto, when you're flying around and arrowing, it's very similar to that, except this is the first time you've seen a dragon. It's much more open world. You're flying, you're hundreds of feet up into the air. You're potentially flying for miles. There's times where the dragon dips down to the ground and might be diving 100, 200 feet, and you're navigating this space, and you're just flying past this dragon and flying around it. Maybe you go up to the top of the mountain. Sometimes it comes along the peak. Anyway, it's just a great big chase. It's a great big adventurous chase.
Totally.
And it can unfold many different ways because it's a systemic chase. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily pre-scripted. The dragon probably has a bit of a path that's pretty clear, but the weather and the time of day, and you see Hatno Village in the background, you see other things in the background. It's massive. Its scope is big. They kind of keep you in the snowy haze mode of I noticed. So that helps make it feel even bigger. But you just chase this thing down and you try to get all the rest of the eyeballs off it. Then the dragon sheds its poison, you could say. It becomes Niagara, I think, right?
Yes, I think so.
Which is, I think, later the water dragon that comes out over by the big bridge. I think that's where
you're right.
He or she ends
I
up
think
going.
Furore is the electricity one.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. And the Farron, yes.
Niagara's essentially water, hence being frozen, all this stuff. And last but not least, when you do save the dragon, it lands back on top of the mountain. The wisdom statue says, "Thank you so much." Essentially, shoot it one more time, and you hit it one more time, and it gives you a scale. So it also now teaches you, guess what? In the real world now, chase these dragons, and you can hit them for scales and horns and these other pieces. So it's also showing you that mechanic. So it introduces the dragon chasing mechanic as this big epic adventure. It's a little bit helpful in that it gives you a bunch of updrafts. In the real world, when you're chasing a dragon, there are less updrafts.
Right.
And there it is. And Lizzie, you've obviously played this. You've been nodding left and right. May I toss this over to you? What were your thoughts when you played this Shrine Quest?
I was nodding a lot because I actually passed over this one because I forgot about the epic chase. And now with you describing it, I'm like, that was a really good Shrine Quest. Because when I was just researching everything, I thought it was just like, oh, you kill the eyeballs and then the dragon's free. And I totally forgot about this chase. And you're so right that like it's just really fun and takes you all over the world. Hyrule.
Hyrule,
and just that, again, it's teaching you more about the game and that it's introducing you to the dragons. And it's just a really well thought out Shrine Quest. And it is truly a mini adventure because it's like, could you imagine if you were actually paragliding and following the straight? It's like, it's a very epic quest.
In a different game, it could be like a final boss in a different game.
Yeah, totally.
It's so big and so cool. The music changes, if I remember correctly, everything. So Kate, I highly recommend that you head up to the mountain. And it's doable. It's, in my opinion, it is a doable, especially if you've already done Varuto. Like the mechanics are similar to shooting arrows at Varuto.
Gotcha.
I think you might love it.
So I'm just thinking, so it's a shrine quest. So then what's in the shrine? Is there like another thing in the shrine?
Nope. That's the quest, is defeating the dragon, so to speak. So then after the wisdom statue, he gives you the scale, and then a shrine pops up behiund the wisdom, the spring of wisdom.
And then is that like a normal shrine?
Nope, it's one of those shrines where you just go in and it gives you a chest and you're done. Most shrine.
So it's like a weapon probably inside the shrine itself?
I think there's 42 shrine quests in the game, and I understand that all of them, but perhaps it's not all of them. The definition of a shrine quest is you have to do a certain amount of things to get into the shrine, and that that thing you have to do to get into the shrine essentially is the quote unquote shrine.
Right.
So when you get in, you just get your item and you get out.
I was just curious as to what the item was.
Oh,
man.
so I have to confess, I never pay attention to the items in the.
Yeah.
Like I get
It's
it. It's
all
like
about the
another
journey.
thing. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. I got a swordy thing. I'll keep it. Is it higher than the other swords I have? Okay, I'll keep it.
Same.
But I kind of never really pay attention. I've never done a shrine for an item.
Right.
For me personally, and it's often an afterthought for me. It's like, okay, you open the chest to get the little chest icon on the map and keep moving.
And I do think I think for the majority that's true, but at least from the research I was doing, some of them do actually have a puzzle inside the shrine as well.
Additionally.
Yes.
Oh,
I would
cool.
have to go back and remember, but just again, when I was kind of looking at some of the walkthroughs to narrow down my list, it was like, it would always include the quest and then the shrine, and some of it was like, and here's how you do the shrine, So like some of them do have a puzzle mechanic still inside.
Got it.
So we may have selected shrines in our favorite shrines episode that maybe did have a quest and we just didn't know.
Oh man, we really messed up.
I found the
Cancel
items,
the episode.
That's it.
That's it. Goodbye. I found the items as kind of a bonus, more like rather than
let's talk about that.
whatever. Well, just
Because we're about to go to break. Let's talk about that.
just cool weapons. I would kind of like geek out about them, be like, oh, this one looks kind of cool. Oh, it's fiery. Oh, it has ice powers. Oh, it's kind of cool. So
Yeah, I hear you on that.
it wasn't. Yeah, getting through the whole quest was the coolest part, but then I would always be interested to see like what's in the chest. What do I get? And I don't remember if it was only weapons or was there maybe armor in some of these chests after?
definitely.
Okay,
Yes.
So that would
Much
be
of your clothes are found in chests in shrines.
yeah. So
if
that
not
would be
all.
cool.
No.
No, you
No,
buy
you
you
buy-
buy plenty of your clothes
Yeah.
too. But I know like all the climbing gear is in chests in shrines and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. Like the Dueling Peaks ones. I think
Yes.
that's where you get some of the climbing gear.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was like a cool extra reward, like in
Right.
addition to the journey being the reward.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I definitely coveted my weapons when I would acquire them and, try to, The only thing is I hope that in the sequel they have a little bit of a hot button because it's so often you'll be maxed out on your inventory and you open the chest and then it gives you the sword or whatever the weapon is. It shows you the numbers. Okay, this is a 25 or a 17. And you're like, oh, that's good.
Just kidding.
Is that better than the weapons I have?
Right.
So then the chest closes. And if you didn't look at that number quickly, you go into your items and you're like, oh, shoot, what was that? It was a 27. Okay, so I'll get rid of this 18, axe or whatever it is.
Right.
And so it would be nice if, like, when you open up a chest in the sequel, they give you a little hot, maybe just with your digital left and right, you could, like, slide through your existing
Swap.
ones, if I may. Yeah, to do like a swap.
Yeah.
To do a swap.
That would actually be kind of cool to do a swap, and then you could put what you have back into that chest and come back to it later. Maybe?
That would take some additional memory, but I like it a lot.
Or
Yeah.
a note. Just
Oh, yeah.
write it down. I'm like the old school. I'm like writing my notes down.
No, I mean additional memory in the game, but that's probably just a data set. You could probably just have your 120, you just have an array of 120 variables, fill it with whatever that variable is, and then save that to your save file. As the, you know what I mean? I'm now thinking it's probably very realistic and possible to do. Cool. So I felt like that might be a fair way to go to break because it was kind of an epic battle. We're going to come back and it'll be Kate's second pick.
Oh, boy.
And we'll keep on keeping on.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Woohoo. Okay, bye.
Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take half a minute here to tell you a little bit about Another Zelda Podcast's Patreon page. We set up our Patreon account about halfway through Season 1, and the support that we've received over there has been humbling, to be honest. I'll just get right down to the details. We are basically offering 3 different tiers for anyone who wants to support Another Zelda Podcast. We have the Sword tier, the White Sword tier, and the Magical Sword tier. We are very proud of ourselves for coming up with those 3 tiers. Essentially, the Sword tier allows people to just say thank you to Another Zelda Podcast, get a little bit of recognition on the website. White Sword offers some additional content, bonus content, extra episodes, little half episodes that we put out, and also all episodes come out a week early with a little bit of commentary on the top and no ads. So you will not be hearing this on a Patreon file. We also finally have our Magical Sword tier, which has all the other things added into it and also access to an elite Discord channel that we run, which allows us to have a very personal connection with the people of Patreon. To be honest, I have a lot of fun recording the little intros that I add onto the episodes, and also putting together some of these. We'll if we interview someone, sometimes we'll put the uncut interview on our Patreon page. I joke sometimes it's almost like what special features were on DVDs way back in the day. That's what we offer on our Patreon account for the White Sword level and the Magical Sword level. All right, like I said, I don't want to waste too much of your time here. Go check it out at patreon.com, Another Zelda Podcast. You can also find links and a list of our current supporters over on anotherzeldapodcast.com. Okay, we are back from the break. I am here with my co-host Kate May and our special guest Lizzi Neelsen, and we are talking about our top 10 shrine quests. We're making a top 10 list. You know what's interesting? So I've been podcasting for, honestly, probably almost decades at this point. It's or more than a decade.
Yes.
And
I think you invented podcasting, right?
I did not.
I just love the silence.
But
did I?
I did not, but I remember when they were invented, and I was there like, I gotta do this. This is back in the day when it was, oh my gosh, I don't want to do a sidetrack thing, but I remember like, I think it was like G4 TV was a technology television channel on cable, and there were the two hosts, and they were talking about a thing called podcasts, and you use an XML file, and they went ahead and what it does is it delivers MP3 files to your iPod, and you had to download software that was certainly not on iTunes yet or anything like that. And I remember watching that and just being like, this is the future.
Back in my day, we used XML files.
We still use XML files. I handwrite our XML files. I'm proud of that fact.
You heard it here first.
Okay, so
We do it the old school way.
I kind of do. In fact, actually, that's why it's hard for us to get on Spotify. We had a listener feedback on Facebook say, why aren't you guys on Spotify? And I keep submitting us to Spotify, but Spotify has a lot of business arrangements with like podcast creating services. So it's like, hey, if you're on Libsyn, just sign in with your Libsyn account, sign in with your Podbean account. We don't have an account because I handwrite all our code.
Yeah.
And so they have like a service where it's like, or submit your podcast this way, blah, blah, blah. So I've always submitted, but they never, something doesn't trigger.
We're a handcrafted podcast.
We're kind of literally handcrafted when it comes to the code. It's
Small
true.
batch.
Yes.
Handcrafted.
Someday,
Artisan.
Free range.
Yes.
someday we'll get on Spotify. So if I have to email them myself and say, please take our code. Anyways, Kate, I just did my second on the list. So we have four things right now. We spoke about. Oh, what I was going to say is I was going to make fun of myself a little bit because whenever we come back from the break, I do the old school radio thing, which is how I was trained in school to say like who we're with, what we're talking about, because usually you've been inundated with commercials from Colgate and bed mattresses. But here for us, it was probably just 30 seconds of me talking about a different podcast.
Well, I'm still Dave.
Yeah, right. It's like the person's literally clicked subscribe. They're not going anywhere. It's not like they walked out of the room.
Right.
They might have.
So every time I do that, I chuckle to myself a little because you technically don't have to anymore. But I am Dave, and I'm here with my co-host Kate Fisher, or Kate May, and Lizzi Neelsen.
This is all going to get edited out.
No, I'm
Just kidding.
I'm keeping this in. I think I'm keeping this in. Kate, so where are we at? We're at your second.
Yes, I feel like this is not going to be exciting at all, but it's another one that I just kind of enjoyed. I think this is probably another easier one. This one doesn't really have any story necessarily. It's pretty straightforward, but it's the gut check challenge.
Oh, yes, I remember the gut check challenge.
I like this one because this one you kind of, and I kind of cheated a little bit because I think I happened upon it while I was reading about other stuff online, and they're like, oh, and by the way, there's this shrine quest, blah, blah, blah. So I think I had read about it before I came to it. So I kind of knew what to do in advance, which I spoiled it for myself. But if you don't know anything about it, you can learn from it, and you can kind of try it more than once and kind of figure out the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. It's one of those that you can do with different strategies. So you basically go to this very tall rock, and you need the whole goal is to climb up the face of the rock quickly and collect enough rupees to like win the challenge. So you might not know that you should maybe have a stamina potion, or you should maybe wait to do this one until your stamina wheel is a little more upgraded, because
Right.
otherwise you're going to fall right off. Or you can have your climbing gear, so that you're able to climb faster. You might not know that. So there's like a lot of different kind of unique ways to be able to do this successfully. It took me, I think, 2 tries. I think the first try I did not make it up, or I made it up to the top, but I didn't collect enough rupees. So then I think, and you have to do 100 rupees, and there's different values and different little paths that you can take. Like you can take this path and get blue ones. You can take this path and get green ones. Blah,
You
blah,
get
blah.
the equivalent of 100, though.
Right.
Okay, okay.
And then there's a lot of like jumping involved. You have to time that correctly. And then there's a few ledges so that you can rest a little bit. Wow. And then once you get to the top and you have enough rupees, you can go to your shrine. So it's pretty straightforward in what you have to do. It's just unique in the ways that you can do it. I like climbing in this game. Obviously, I think everyone does, because it's something you couldn't do before.
Sure.
So I liked that was the theme of this one. And I luckily had like the climbing gear at least. And then I think after the first time that I wasn't fast enough or didn't get the rupees, whichever happened, I didn't complete it the first time successfully. So then I hunted around for like ingredients to do a stamina potion. And then that way I was able to refill it and then head up. So it was a learning experience. And that's why I like this one. It's like a fun obstacle course.
Totally.
I am a little bit flummoxed right now because I thought the gut check challenge was the one where you have to withstand the heat with the Gorons, and I am not recalling this challenge, and it sounds great. I did it. I mean, I did all the shrines, but I don't remember this one. Where can you inform me a little bit more? Do you remember, Lizzie, where this is?
I don't remember the area where it is.
It just says gut check rock. So it's Gorons. I mean, there's Gorons involved. So
Well, there's a couple Gorons that you find over in the desert. It's
not in the desert.
I know
Right,
that they
and I
make
know the
you
one-
withstand the heat or whatever.
Right.
And I did not care for that challenge, and I thought this was that.
Yes.
This sounds great.
Yeah, I read about the one that you're talking about because I never came across that one. So I
They're
was
kind
like,
of buried
what
in
is
one
this?
of the. They're kind of buried in one of the canyons. You'll find them eventually.
Yeah, I can't find exactly where
okay.
it is, but
The gut check challenge.
Gut check challenge. And then
This one sounds fun.
I believe you can do it again. Then after you're done, I don't know, win more stuff. After that, I was like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah,
but
sure.
you can do it again in like a heightened version of it where you have either less time or you have to collect more rupees and you can try it again.
Do you trigger it by talking to a Goron or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You talk to one of the brothers that are on Gut Check Rock. Because I think what you have to do is actually get to the top of the rock first, and that's where the Goron is. And then he's like, and then they'll send you back down to the bottom and be like, now you have to climb up and collect the rupees. So I think you have to go to the top first, talk to the guy, and he's like, oh, just go back down and climb back up. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. I do not remember this at all. I can't wait to find it again in my Master Quest playthrough or my Master playthrough. I'm going to seek it out. It sounds like fun.
It's fun. It's not, like I said, not too complicated, but it's kind of fun.
I like these little like obstacle course ones. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Interesting.
That is
Gut check challenge.
my
Wow. Wow, because I saw the gut check challenge in like lists and stuff, and I thought like, oh gosh, that's that heat one. I did not care for that one.
Totally.
Kate picked a bummer of a quest.
Well, I had to check lists. I'm sure we all did. I had to check lists because I knew which 3 I wanted to talk about, but I didn't really know their titles. And actually, I had written down the 7 goddesses, and then I was like, I should probably check on the actual names of these things.
Right, right.
So, Lizzie, what is your second? We've got a pretty good list going together.
So
here.
my second one is a stolen heirloom quest.
Oh boy.
So
Let's
this
go there.
is in Kakariko Village. And so it starts off there's Impa's house where Impa is. Spoiler alert.
Whoa!
I know! But then there's Peya. So you talk to her and she's all flustered, right? Even though she's kind of always flustered, but she's more flustered than usual. So there's that orb that had been sitting in the house. It's now gone. And she's like beside herself, doesn't know where it is. But you kind of get this hint, right, that it's someone in the village. So it kind of becomes this like, who done it, and like be aware at night, like what's going on at night, which is also kind of like a NIMBY thing. So it's kind of like, Peya, slow your roll. But turns out she was right. Sorry.
Wow. Fair enough. Slow your roll. I love it.
And so anyway, right, you know that you have to like look around and just see like who's doing weird stuff at night. And right, it's kind of hard because night is actually a long time and it's from like 9 p.m. till, so you're kind of like, okay, I don't really know what time things are happening. But then you find that actually one of the guards that sits outside of the house, he starts kind of walking away. And you're like, well, what is he doing?
Mm-hmm. So and he even is walking towards his house, so it'd be easy to assume he's just going home for the night.
Totally. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't quite remember, but I'm sure there were a couple nights where I probably just like let it happen and I didn't think it was him and I probably was like exploring elsewhere.
Well, at the last minute, he walks past his house and starts taking the path up towards the Great Fairy Fountain.
Exactly. And so, right, and you have to, again, kind of be sneaky. You can't follow too close because or else he'll be onto you. And so then you go to this area by the Great Fairy Fountain outside of Kakariko Village and you then get bombarded by one of the Yiga clan members. And it's basically, right, this like fight for. So, right, this guy isn't actually guilty. It's that the Yiga has it, if I'm remembering
No, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Yes, I remember this quest very well.
Yes. So then you basically have to fight the Yiga clan member to get the orb. And then you get it and put it into your golf ball hole. And
Indeed.
There's the shrine. But so I mean, just to like wrap up, that's the quest. And again, it feels really short, but you definitely have to kind of deduce like what's the problem here? Where do I go? Again, I like all the kind of sneaking around and again, this has been done in other Zelda games too. So like even in Ocarina of Time and things like that, where you have to like be careful and sneak around. But I kind of like the like whodunit aspect too. And I don't know, it just kind of sits with me. And I think it's one of the first, well, again, depending, but I remember doing it early on in the game. And I like that it was kind of this nod back to other mechanics that you've seen before in Zelda games. So
absolutely,
I think that's why it's like a happy one for me.
I was going to ask, did you play it earlier or later in the middle? I played it very late. It was a quest for me that. Well, I actually think it's probably the longest shrine quest and also the most obscure shrine quest. I really do.
Oh,
and that's because basically say someone stole this. Oh, also by the way, Kate, have you ever noticed by that first Great Fairy Fountain there is a curious golf ball hole over there, just of the hill. Just so the next time you're going towards that first fairy fountain, just take the path up to the right, and you'll find a weird golf ball hole just sitting there.
I'm not very observant.
I found that early in the game, and I was like, "Well, I actually found that thing first before I even knew what those golf ball holes were."
Right.
And I was like, "What is this thing?"
Giant golf.
I didn't know. And then later you start connecting. You're kind of like, "Hey, there's a ball inside Impa's house." You know what I mean?
I never got to the point where it was stolen. I kept getting yelled at not to touch it, and I was like, "Okay, I won't."
It happened a little bit later in the game.
Yeah, apparently you have to complete a few quests for this one to unlock.
Yes.
You have to complete a few quests inside Kakariko, isn't that right? For it to unlock?
Yes, I think so. So yeah.
So you must have just dug into Kakariko when you were playing.
Well, and again, I think it's probably because it's like, right, you see that in a lot of the games. So I'm kind of like, again, it's like just nostalgia
home.
To be in Kakariko Village. So I think I did definitely dig around. So again, probably just luck of the draw that I happened to complete the quests that you needed to like open up this.
I mean, there's
quest.
Potentially 20 characters in that town that if you're unlucky, you watch all 20 of them and try to, and what is suspicious behavior? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the only thing is if you're clever enough to notice that this guard walks past his, first of all, you have to learn that this is his house because maybe you'll go there a different night or a different time or during the day and he's putting his kids to bed or something like that. And then you might realize, wait, he just walked past his house. Like you have to observe all this. This is potentially, you could get lucky and see it on the first night, but this is potentially something that could take months to actually observe if you're doing it kind of passively, okay? It's definitely a great example of the NPCs having like a living life in these towns. Furthermore, there's a little bit more to that story. This is also the same dad that has the two kids that have the mother that died in the avalanche.
That's right.
So are you familiar? You know all the weird, curious stones that have fallen. If you're facing Impa's house, Kate, and you head, I guess you could say, to the right. You kind of go out to a fenced area with a single tree and a rock avalanche happened, and you kind of look out at another field. You can jump off that field and glide down there. But if you hang out in that area, you actually learn that the rock avalanche is a grave/shrine because a little kid is out there just looking at the rocks.
I saw the little kid, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the story thickens
That's right.
What happens here is long ago, that guard, what happened? He was in the mafia, so to speak, and part of the kind of stereotype of like, oh, they'll come snip a finger off every time you owe money.
Right.
The stereotype of a certain kind of mafia having that kind of thing. The Yiga mafia made his wife have an accident on the cliff.
Right.
And so
Accident.
they killed her. And so then he's continuing, he has to stay faithful to them and true to them as a spy in Kakariko
That's right.
to save his children.
That's right. So,
And
right, he
so-
was yes, he was guilty of taking it because he had the access to Impa's house, but it was like a deeper thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't
Yes.
just like he wanted fame and power
Yes.
or whatever. So then when you follow him all the way up to this golf ball hole up by the fairy fountain, a Yiga, one of the big Yigas, sees Link. And so you immediately battle that. And then the guy, if I remember correctly, he says he's ashamed. He's
That's right.
totally like broken down. His wife has been killed by this situation. He's just trying to keep his kids alive, and like you help that get rectified. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's
There's
amazing.
So much more story than I thought there was.
It's
Wow,
a
yeah,
deep dive story.
I forgot about that too. And I feel like if I'd remembered that, it would, I mean, that just makes me even more secure in this being my second choice.
I'm
Because
cool
it's
with
like, I saved people.
Nice.
He's ashamed. I think I don't know if he actually goes back to his job or something, but like, wrongs are righted with this
Right.
one. It's kind of cool. And it's
awesome.
also, I think it's the most gray when it comes to instructions. Kate, we've talked about this when we were talking about our side quests. Some of my favorite side quests are when they're like, there's a large horse that's sometimes spotted north. And that's all they say. And you're like, well, I guess I'll find that sometime. I have to keep in mind the legend of the large horse that's north. I love it when it's vague sometimes.
I
Sometimes
hate it.
Yes.
Unsurprisingly.
it
I
just
hate
fills the world in. This is a very vague quest.
Yeah.
I think if people don't know about this one, they may never find it. I had
Clearly.
I had a hard time with this quest. I had a hard time doing it. I was actually originally very frustrated with this quest because it took forever. I was thinking to myself, what defines suspicious behavior?
Yes.
So what was it for you? What finally triggered it for you? How did you find this guy?
That is a great question. I think he's probably one of the only characters that really, like, aside for, right, some of the characters start to move home at like dusk, at like 9 p.m., but then they just go home to their houses like he does. But I think they kind of do it more quickly, whereas he kind of saunters and it's kind of this alarming thing. And perhaps there was something where it's like, well, right, something was stolen from this house, so maybe I should stake out close to the house.
Fair
to
enough.
see.
I think I started going full detective into the town, and I was like watching
Right.
people in their lawns and their gardens and stuff,
Yes.
and none of that did anything. But you're
Yes.
right, and also he actually leaves a little bit later than the other guards. He leaves closer to 10 o'clock than 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So that starts to trigger little things.
So complicated.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a complicated one.
Well,
it's almost too far.
And it's almost like the quest in Majora's Mask, right? Where you have to go at different times throughout the 3 days. And
I
not that
love
you
that. You're
know what it is, but and again, I'm still kind of like, I don't hate it, Majora's Mask as much as I used to, but I think that's just interesting because it's not that common of a mechanic, if you will, for a quest. But yeah, it's just different that you have to like kind of be in a right place at a right time to see a thing happen, like in Majora's Mask.
You know what I just realized? This is another wonderful celebration. I almost said exploitation, but celebration of the systemic gaming in Breath of the Wild. A bit like the dragon, a bit like these other things. They're saying, guess what? These NPCs do react to the world around them. I loved the first moment that I was out in a field and it started to rain and I saw a random NPC run underneath a tree and I knew that was not a pre-canned animation. I knew that was systemic and that was AI that was doing that. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yes.
The way that people will run in and out of the horse stables, that's also systemic. It's so cool. And this is a great way to have people not just be around it, but to have to use it.
Right.
It's a long, long way from talking to 4 people in Castletown who only say one thing and are there all the time.
Right.
You're
Shut up
absolutely
about your dog, man. to
Ma'am,
to-
just take one of these dogs, please. Just any of them. Just
take a dog.
what does he even look like? You're giving me no hint.
Is it this one?
So many dogs. Just pick one. To exactly what you described, like completely different, like and not a lot of time, I would think. I mean, I know Ocarina of Time is like what 20 years old now,
It's around
but
25, but yeah, 20.
yeah, just a lot has changed, and it's crazy to think about what could be happening 20 years from now.
I agree completely. Kate and I have often joked, Lizzie, maybe you've heard it on some of the episodes about like, wow, that couple, they just dance and spin forever in Castletown.
Right.
I mean, that was the extent of like an NPC's life was they did a thing. They had a thing and a motivation. And I mean, a lot of that happened in the 8-bit role-playing games, the decade before. That's all you could do. And when things were much more abstract and you were just looking at grids and tiles, playing maybe a Final Fantasy game or something like that, you could kind of use your imagination and say, okay, this person's only seen this one thing. But as the graphics and the environment get more realistic, the behaviors of these NPCs need to be more realistic too. And I think Nintendo's doing a great job. And actually in Ocarina, though, I remember that also being the first time where day and night mattered. Like shops would close at night.
Right.
And that was already the seeds of what we're experiencing now in this side quest, this shrine quest.
Yeah, great point.
Okay, where are we at? It's me, isn't it?
Yeah, we're at our number
It's
one.
my last.
Number one.
Well, or,
So I'm missing
just
one here. I have Watch Out for the
third.
Flowers, The 7 Heroines, The Spring of Wisdom, The Cut Check Challenge, The Stolen Heirloom, and what was the other one?
Watch Out for the Flowers. Did you say that one?
Yep, Watch Out for the Flowers, The 7 Heroines, The Spring of Wisdom.
Perfect Drink.
Oh,
There
Perfect
it
Drink.
is,
Yes.
Perfect Drink.
That was mine. It's fine. You forgot about me. That's fine.
Well, I was having so much fun
No big
talking
deal.
about it. Stolen Heirloom. I had to stay true to my top pick. I think anyone could guess, but I had to stay true to it. I'm just going to jump right in. It's Eventide Island. I love, love, love Eventide Island. It's almost not even a shrine quest. It's like they want, go have this adventure. Oh boy, okay, there has to be a shrine, there has to be something at the end. There has to be the thing so there's to log that you have had this adventure, so there's a shrine at the end. But it's I think it's 3 golf balls, right?
Yes.
Essentially, it's 3 golf balls into the golf ball holes. But there's 3 different ways to do it. Each one requires different things. But we all know Eventide Island. I know that both of you have played Eventide Island.
Yeah.
I also, by the way, almost completely through all of season 1, accidentally referred to it as Outset Island in our previous episodes. I want to retroactively fix that.
That is also a thing.
Eventide Island, I loved it so much. I love little survival games like that. I love when you have to get creative. I don't love it when they just take things away from you always, but when when things are taken away just to make it harder, that's not super cool. We've spoken about, Lizzie, maybe you and I spoke about this too. In the challenge in the DLC when it's like, here's the 1-hit mode.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
You took away my hearts to make it harder. I don't know if that's actually better.
Right.
But this is a situation where everything you've learned about the Legend of Breath of the Wild, how your items work, how the mechanics work, how the physics work, they do take it away from you, and you have to take what you've learned and use it. It's not taking things away to make it harder. I have spoken a lot this episode. I know that both of you are familiar with Eventide Island. Can I invite Lizzie to speak a bit about what your experiences were on Eventide Island?
Yeah, for sure. So again, that was an honorable mention. It danced in my top 3, and I don't know. I almost wonder if I subconsciously removed it because I was like, someone's going to pick it.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so obvious, but
Right.
it was my most enjoyed experience.
No, it's true because it's I don't know. I guess I wouldn't really call it a temple or a dungeon or anything, but it was definitely one of the longer ones, I think, too, just with like a battle thing. And to your point, it's still, even though it takes a lot of things away, there's a lot of problem solving that you have to use. Like, how am I going to get this thing to where I need it to be? And
Right.
So I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely an honorable mention.
Oh, and not only is it just problem solving, it's if you do solve the problems, you could probably be very clever and not have your clothes and not have your weapons and try to grab these balls and get them into their golf ball holes. But also, if you're clever, you can, okay, at least I got a stick. Okay, now at least I got a spear from that goblin. Okay, at least I found a rusty whatever. You can slowly survive. Like, if Breath of the Wild normal is life, Eventide Island is a camping trip. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to pare down, and it's an exciting little adventure where everything's much more minimal and you take what you have. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I have to say about it. Kate, what was it like for you?
Well, my number 1 pick is Stranded on Eventide.
Oh, okay. We're definitely going to be using some listener feedback. Oh, I'm so pleased.
So
let's just jump to it. So let's keep talking about it.
No, that's why I wasn't saying anything at first. I'm like,
We both, I think, loved this.
yeah, but I think interestingly enough, maybe not for different reasons, but we both come from a different place because this is a quest that I would normally hate a lot.
Yeah.
I would normally not like this at all. I'd be like, wait, what? Where's my stuff? No, I want my stuff. I don't like this. I don't like being surprised in that kind of way. But
Fair enough.
I spent a lot of time, like you said, exploring the island, just kind of trying to find all the little things. I'd go in the swampy area and then I'd go out to the rocky area, and just like exploring all of it was fun. It's a big space for what it is. And I had heard about it. You may have even told me about it before I got there.
I probably gushed about it.
You probably did. So then I was like, ooh, an island. Ooh, I'm going to go there. Ooh, it's that one. Like, and I got there and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's true because it's far enough away. It actually
Right.
takes you have to either get on a raft or have a lot of stamina and fly to it from a cliff. Like it's a journey to get there.
I think I stole a raft.
Yeah.
Well, not really stolen because they're always laying around. Like, whose raft is this? It's just
Right.
sitting
People
here.
are just leaving their rafts behind.
I know. Who does that? But I got a raft and I got there, and there are so many different ways to do this, like you said, and I may have talked about this on another episode. I don't remember, but my strategy in defeating the, I don't know, Hinox or however you say
Yeah,
it,
Hinox.
the Cyclops guy, is standing up on a ledge and just tossing bombs at him for like literally 15 minutes because I am such a wuss that I'm not going to go up there and try to steal the one that's like around his neck or in his hand or wherever it is. It's on his person. And so I was like, I'm not going to go up there and try to like manually defeat this guy because I don't have anything right now or anything that I think would be effective. So I'm just going to stand up on this rock and just pelt you with bombs over and over and over and over and over. And like Bill was watching me and he's like, are you done yet? Like looking at his watch, like, how are you still doing this?
Just
and
bomb
I'm like,
factory in this guy.
like, it's working.
I mean, it was
slowly.
you're technically
Yes.
chipping away at him, I'm sure. And if you have to, you can. And that level, that area of that island is designed really well because I know the plateau that you're talking about, the cliff or the plateau that you got up on, because I also got up there. And there's a bit of a ramp, a curving ramp. It's the ground, but a path that just curves up the side of the island. So there's really only one way for that Hinox to get up there anyway. And so you can kind of corner him. It's not a corner, you know what I mean? But you
Right.
can get him to be on this path. And if he's trying to come up the path and you're hitting him with bombs, it can work. I remember that being an epic battle with that Hinox. For me, he did follow me up onto the thing. He finally did take the path all the way up. Then I got up there and then I jumped
interesting.
down and I was grabbing fire and I was grabbing magnesicine, everything I could, and I was smacking him left and right and trying to do everything I could, and I'd jump away and then get back on there, and then it was a blast and a half fighting that Hinox.
I think I was too high up for him to take a path because he just kept chucking things at me. And I was just like, I'm too high for you. I'm chucking things back at you.
Yeah, he probably his trigger to take the path probably was further away. Your distance to him was probably closer. I think I know even what you're talking about. It was kind of on the northern side of that little plateau there. Where they can get quote unquote stuck, and he's just looking at you, and his clearest path is to throw stuff at you.
Yep.
I'm sure that's what happened. And then there's also a bokoblin tree that you have to defeat, and then there's a camp of bokoblins, and there might even be a moblin in there, but I actually don't think so now that I think about it.
There's
Anyway,
also water monsters and such too, because you have to like
Right.
swim out to one of those balls.
Yes.
I think
it's true.
Yes.
So there's just like not every type, but a whole bunch of different types of enemies and situations, all compressed in this tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's like a mini game in and of itself.
Oh my gosh, I was just gonna say it is a mini game.
Right.
It's a microcosm of the whole game out there.
Yeah.
Like a camping trip to life.
I
sticking
don't
with
know
that.
what your camping trips are like. I am usually not standing on top of rocks throwing bombs.
Camping trip. It's about minimal food
At
and like
things.
minimal supplies, and you go have adventures, and you have to be very careful with your supplies and ration and stuff. And
Find rusty swords.
find rusty swords is what I usually go for when I'm in state parks.
Of course. I got my tetanus shot. I'm good.
It's fine.
Eventide. I love it. I had to go with it. I loved it so much. And actually, to speak to that point, the Trial of the Sword is a similar mechanic. I love it just a little less because there isn't that organic, natural adventure element. But it's also kind of cool doing the Trial of the Sword that way, where you're slowly building up your things back. But anyway,
Right.
I did not do that one.
I think it's more, I think the Trial of the Sword is much more unforgiving.
yeah,
So I think it just
it's more
becomes
of a gauntlet.
Right. It really is. And especially once you at least get through like a first tier and second tier, but it's like, and you get really minimal stuff. So yeah, it's a gauntlet.
With
for
Eventide, you can kind of walk along the shore, figure it out, grab an apple, take care of things here and there. Trial of the Sword, though the mechanics are similar, it is definitely go do this now.
Yeah.
You know?
You're just literally thrust into it.
So I'm looking forward to completing Trial of the Sword someday. Someday Kate and I will do it, and we're even going to do an episode about it because we've had listener requests requesting us talking about Trial of the Sword.
Yeah, I haven't finished it either.
Right.
Yeah.
But I vastly prefer Eventide Island.
Absolutely.
I was too scared to start Trial of the Sword because they give you like a whole lot of warnings. They're like, this is going to be hard. This is going to suck. And I'm like, well, then I don't want to do it.
Right.
I'm scared now. You guys are not being very like excited about this.
Right.
No, totally.
In the game.
So that leads us to our final people at this table submitted Shrine Quest. Lizzie, what is it for you?
So, Dave, how did I know that it's called 7 Heroines? It's because that's my number one.
Whoa! Whoa! Let's talk about it.
I know we already did talk a lot about it, but
what was it for you?
For me, and just to tie back to the favorite shrines episode. So my favorite shrine is the Fateful Stars. So
Yes.
that is the one where you have to look at these constellations on a big wall, and you have to see like how many of each type of constellation. And I felt like the 7 Heroines, it's kind of the similar mechanic where you kind of stare at it for a while. And again, we talked about this, but right at first you think it's just the colors, or you think it's colors, but there's also icons on it that can help you mix and match and get them in the right place. And so it's just one of those that you just, I don't know, it kind of forces you to slow down and think and really see the pattern for what it is. And those are always my favorite mechanics. So
Yeah, I agree. Whenever I see big statues in Breath of the Wild, I love to climb around on them and jump around, and they kind of remind me of the Spirit Temple in Ocarina.
For sure, yeah.
That was
one
the
of my
origin of
favorites.
like big statue.
Yeah.
I like the majesty of that whole scene and area that you are interacting with. It's kind of it maybe goes along with my obsession with like miniature things or like Toy Story, or it's like I'm this little thing in the midst of all these gigantic things that people have built, and I've always been kind of entranced by that idea and the way that looks in these games.
I encourage you to
It's
go
really cool.
finish up this quest, this 7 Heroines quest.
Oh, I did it.
Shrine Quest. Oh, I thought you said you.
I did it. I just didn't think it was that simple. Like
Oh,
that easy.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of challenge to it. It's definitely not just a 1, 2, 3 kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a nice mix of some action challenges. You're literally jumping around, a little bit of puzzle solving, and also the majesty of it all. It's kind of a cool thing. And then piggybacking off of that is the actual side quest, not Shrine Quest, but the side quest of finding the 8th heroine, which I spoke about in our side quest episode. I had a lot of fun finding that. It's cool. It's cool whenever that lore is continued. So we have 8 out of 10 then, because we had some doubles.
That's true.
I know we have some honorable mentions, but let me read. We had a couple tweets about some of their some of our listeners' favorite Shrine Quests.
Cool.
Now, also, I have to say a little bit behind the curtain here. When I did my episode with Shane a couple episodes ago, about a week before Shane and I met up, I tweeted out, "Hey, everybody, tell us your thoughts on ways to regain hearts." And we were bombarded with tweets of people, almost more than we could even like reference in the episode. It was beautiful and wonderful, but it almost took over the episode. It was like every 10 seconds it was like, and this person said this.
Right.
I think it worked really well for that episode with Shane, if I may. So this time around, I knew that the 3 of us were going to have plenty to talk about anyway. 3 people on the mic. It's going to be a slightly longer episode. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to tweet very close to our recording. So I tweeted yesterday morning. And we got a lot of retweets, a lot of people saying that they were looking forward to the episode. But we did only get 3 people actually giving us ideas. So I might have waited a little too long. Maybe next time I'll do it somewhere in the middle, a couple days before
Fair.
we record. But we got a few here, and I would like to read them off. Caleb Webb. Oh my goodness. Caleb Webb, who is at Caleb G. Webb, he said 21 hours ago, he said, everyone is probably going to say Eventide Island, which is my favorite.
Ding ding.
But I'll give an honorable mention. The G Hara, This is the one where you have to bowl a snowball down a hill to open a gate.
Oh,
Remember that one?
I remember that
Yes,
one.
that took me so long to figure out that that's what we needed to do. Or like my aim kept being off.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or-
I kept throwing it down the wrong chute or getting it just wrong. But
So I was actually really frustrated with that one. But
Fair
I
enough.
understand. Like it's still very much like you got to solve the problem.
is that the one that opens up the shrine that has the Leviathan over it?
Yes.
I think it is, right? It
it-
breaks
yeah.
down the big door. So the reward is epic, if I may. The reward of finding. I do remember, like, once I finally got that snowball to break. Doesn't it even have to jump over a pit of water, if I remember correctly?
I think you might be right.
Yeah, you
It
get
has
down.
it's very specific path that it needs to gain the right momentum
Yes.
and not fall over the side and fly over the water.
And you even have to build that snowball up a little bit to give it enough weight. So that is actually a great honorable mention. We might include it in our list. I do think that that's a situation where the reward was completely worth it. I remember the door breaking down, and I was thinking, okay, I'll go to this shrine. What is this beautiful chasm, glowing and sparkling blue chasm with this humongous whale skeleton in it? And then, okay, I guess there's a shrine there, whatever. But
Right.
like, to see the majesty of this third Leviathan that I was looking for quite some time.
Right, because that's another side quest to
It
find
is
all
indeed.
of those. Yeah.
And so I took a picture of that, and oh man, it was so cool. I climbed around on the skeleton, found some stuff up on top. It was a good reveal, in my opinion.
Totally.
All right, so then Ethan Fry, who goes by @E_money630, said one of the twin shrines on the top of the mountains. So I think he might be speaking to the shrines where you have to go back and forth with each other. Have one shrine inform the other shrine with the puzzle. You have to take pictures and essentially set a combination lock and then decode that combination lock in the other shrine. That's a great mention. And then Dr. Steggy, who goes by @Dr. Steggy, said the various trials of the Korok in the Korok Forest. So any of the three shrine, all three of those are shrine quests.
Yes, one of those. Hold on, was kind of an honorable mention for me.
Great, let's talk about
it. It's where you have to follow the kid.
Sure.
So it's called Lost Pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
But right, you have to like be quiet and like not see that he's there. So I kind of had that as like, I also considered that with the stolen heirloom, but I liked more of the whodunit.
Oh yes.
And like saving the guy's life and putting him on the right path, which I did not remember. But so yeah, that's also, I would consider that an honorable mention for me as well.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. Then there was another one in the Korok Forest there where I think it's a bit of you have to run with, you can only use one blade. And I think there's even a light one where you can only have so many torches as you go through.
Yep.
Something like that. All three of those were pretty good. I think I hit those shrine quests at a point where I was a little tired, like as a player, honestly. And I was kind of like, oh boy, okay, here, let's do these.
Right.
So I hit them at a weird spot. But those are great honorable mentions. So Lost Pilgrimage is in here. I think let's keep the bowling one in here. I think that one's worth it unless... I mean, if you were, top 10, is it worthy of a shrine quest? Is it, even if it was frustrating, bowling down the side of the mountain and opening up the door?
I mean, I'm open to it.
More of just a task, though. Maybe it's not a quest. But then again, we were
It kind
walking
of is, because you also have to find where the snowballs are, too.
and figure out that
Yes.
that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
It does take some legitimate, a bit large running. Remember when we talked about the shrine where it's the little big water where you're doing the water
Yes.
cubes?
Yes.
It takes a moment where you have to...
Yep.
It doesn't take that long in that shrine to figure out, oh, okay, this is a large Plinko
Right.
machine and I have to manipulate it. But there's an element of that as you're doing this bowling episode, the bowling
Yes.
quest, where you see, I remember seeing the, I guess you could say the little paths that go down the hill. And I remember thinking like, am I supposed to
Slide down.
Yeah,
or-
surf down these.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I surfed down these to jump over the water. And it
Right,
wasn't that
right.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was
And I
breaking
mean, I
that
would
door
almost
down.
argue it's more of a quest than my watch out for the flowers.
Perhaps.
So I think it could make the list.
To
for
that
sure.
point, I actually found the door very early in the game. And I was just like, what do I do with this door? I tried bombing it. Nothing.
Just knock on it.
Nothing's happening. I just kept knocking. Hello.
And then the skeleton peeks out like,
Yeah,
I'm in
nothing.
my nightgown. I can't open the door.
Not now.
Oh, my.
Okay, I'm into that. So I think we have our top 10 here. We have, any other honorable mentions, Lizzie? I know you said you had a few.
I mean, again, not really a quest, but just I love the humor of the Under a Red Moon, where you have to be without clothing on this certain pedestal and
Oh, I forgot about that.
be I mean, right, you're not naked, but it's like I'm
those
trying
boxer
to find
briefs.
what the specific wording was of what, because it's the bird Cas who tells you about it, and that's what
I've
opens
always
up
called
the
him
shrine.
Cas.
Yeah, right.
Cas.
So the shrine quest, but it's just I don't know if it's really a quest.
It's funny.
But it's just funny. I just
Figuring
love
out
the
that-
humor.
I'm
That
sorry.
like that's what that means.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have to take my clothes off and be on a pedestal under a blood moon.
I
Okay,
think I
got it.
didn't get the clothes off part because I remember coming to him and he's like, "Oh, you have to be on the pedestal." I don't know that I understood the clothes off section.
Yeah,
of
see,
that.
I gotta find the actual like wording because there's something about the wording.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Come to think of it, all of the Cas or Cas quests are usually kind of trying to interpret a puzzle, putting a shadow of a snowball on a thing or figuring out that a shadow, a lot of them are like based on the nature systems and shadows.
so I found the wording for what he tells you.
Okay.
So it's when the moon bleeds and the fiends are reborn, the monks will invite you as they have sworn. But first you must stand on the pedestal bare with nothing between you and the night air.
There it is.
So it's like, oh, naked.
Oh yeah, my mind did not go to naked. It was like, oh, you are unprotected. You have to be there with all these enemies and you're unprotected. I didn't get like naked from that, but maybe my brain doesn't work that way, Lizzie. I don't know. But fair enough. Now I know what to do because that is one that I have on my list that I have not completed. So now I know.
Totally.
Gotta be naked. All right.
Got it. Those Cas ones are tricky.
I was going to bring those up actually, the
Oh, yeah?
Cas ones. I was going to ask you guys.
Do they count?
No, if you liked them or if those would be any of your choices because I don't like them because of how vague they are. I'd be like, what do you mean? Stop singing a song and just tell me.
I mean, a few of them I did like, so I kind of have a grouping of just honorable mentions for a lot of these, what I call like pedestal trials, where you
Okay.
have to just do something. So like, right, one of them was about how like the sun, it's in the Rito region. So it's right when the sun hits, there'll be like a heart. And then it literally is just like a shadow, well, not a shadow, but a bright spot of a sunlight in a heart shape, or like you had to hold a snowball above your head to get like a cold
Yep.
like
That's
shadow on a pedestal. So I did like those, and those came from Cas, but I understand they are a little vague. But there's some delight in a few of them where you're like, once you figure out what it is, you're like, oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, they're definitely puzzles that need to be interpreted. That is cool. They're different than like the vague horse to the north thing that I was speaking about. So a lot of times I'd get frustrated with the Cas ones, but also ultimately you do figure them out. And sometimes you're like, oh, that's clever. That's cool. Oh, and then once you start getting used to the rules, it's like it's probably going to involve a shadow. It's probably going to involve something in nature. It's probably going to be something really obscure.
Right.
It's not pushing a button or finding a hole or a golf ball hole or anything like that. You know what I mean? You have to think outside of the Zelda box and inside the Breath of the Wild box to solve those, which is cool.
Ooh, that's deep. It's like
Some
right.
people can figure them out. I can't.
So if I may, I think we have Watch Out for the Flowers, The Seven Heroines, The Spring of Wisdom, The Perfect Drink, The Gut Check Challenge, The Stolen Heirloom, Eventide Island, Lost Pilgrimage. Oh, and then I put bowling. That might be our loose 10 here. I kind of like it. I like it very much. Well, it is time for us to head out. We've actually been recording for quite some time here.
Ooh.
Lizzie, thank you so much for joining us again.
And again, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
We should
Absolutely.
have another similar episode sometime where we all get together.
I'm for it.
I'll dress as Ganon next time since I'm now the power
That's right.
Triforce.
That
piece.
won't be weird at all in my dining room.
No, she'll be Ganon. I'll be
She-
Zelda. Or did you pick Courage? You picked Wisdom?
I picked wisdom.
That's Zelda. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll take Link. That's fine. That's fine.
I have a costume you can borrow.
Holy costume. Yeah, I saw your tweets. You have, was it a cosplay or was it a Halloween situation?
Halloween and
enough.
other reasons. Again, like just like normal, like kind of normal things.
Totally
like
normal reasons. It's
not
fine.
like sexy reasons. Sorry.
Oh,
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. This is a family. Whatever jokes. Okay, well,
I love Halloween
Moving
costumes.
on.
Our Halloween costumes.
I was like, we did a.
Your face
Sorry,
is
I
as
have
red
to-
as Ganon's right
I
now.
have to clarify now, just very quickly. We had some friends who have their birthdays in March, and we did like this huge scavenger hunt for them. So
Yes.
I dressed up in my Link costume so they could come get potions. They were Gatorades.
Got it.
That's what I mean when I say like, and other reasons.
Very good.
I don't have
Scavenger
some
hunt.
like
Glad we clarified
seedy
that.
side
No,
hustle.
that's immediately what I thought. So I was like,
course.
oh, that time that you dress up and you give Gatorades to your friends.
Of course, in
and
public.
a scavenger hunt. Yeah, no,
March.
that's
First thing
exactly
I
where my
thought.
brain.
Totally, yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Lizzie, if people want to find you on the internet to ask you more questions about giving people Gatorades, Where can they do that?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is @MissyLizzi, so MISSILIZZI.
Wonderful. And Kate, if people want to find you, they can do that where?
They can look real hard. I'm bad at social media, but I do have an Instagram. So I only take cat pics on there. And I think I've fallen off the face of Discord's earth. I don't know, but
well,
oh, that's right. I'm on Discord too.
Oh,
Again.
all three of us are on our AZP Discord. You're Missy Lizzie there as well.
Yes. And I'm Cater Tot, I think.
Well, Discord is getting very full. A lot of people are joining, which is awesome.
It is
I know
awesome.
Alex gets in there as much as he can, who's at Ocarina of Rhyme on there. This past month, just on a personal note, we were setting up going to the Midwest Gaming Classic, and I've been getting into Discord a little bit less recently, but I can't wait to dive back in. But when you go in now, it has taken a life of its own, and that was the whole point.
Completely.
Like, our community jumps in there, and they're talking about so many cool things. And sometimes, Kate, just dive. It's like it's its own source of information at this point.
It really
Our
is.
listeners are like having conversations, and I learn things there. I try to source for our listener feedbacks from Discord as much as possible, but honestly, I have been a little bit absent these past 2 or 3 weeks because we've been so busy in the real world.
I think I don't check it very often, only because then I will get sucked into
little
reading
bit.
everything.
Yep.
And there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of awesome stuff on there. So I do check every once in a while, but Instagram would be where you can find me the most. So you can follow me there and send me messages on there if you like, say hi.
I have noticed that if people reply you on Discord, then it pings you, and you usually have something to say, which is nice.
Yes. If you definitely want me to see it, just tag me. I'm Cater Tot on there, and I only take cat pics on Instagram because I like to keep it confusing.
I keep it pretty simple. I'm at Raptor Paint on Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. And if people want to find the show on Twitter, they can find us at Another Zelda Pod. Instagram, we are Another Zelda Podcast. You can go to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, where we have show notes for all of our episodes. And also now we have some blogs that are popping up. We're going to be introducing even more things to the website that I'm very excited about. And please go there. There was an article, Lizzie, that you wrote that we have up, and it was about...
Just about Breath of the Wild and how it changed with the actual open world.
Yes. A breath of fresh air or something
Yes.
is what it was titled. I think people can go find that and read it, and that was great. So with that, next week we're going to be back with our Midwest Gaming Classic episode. Alex Sheehan is going to be hosting the show with me.
Fantastic.
And we're going to talk about our experiences at the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Woohoo!
Kate, I can't wait to tell you all about it.
Yes.
And for you to hear.
I know.
We're very lucky. I think, Kate, you're going to be able to be at the Video Game Summit with us this year.
Correct,
It
in
sounds
July.
like.
Yes.
That'll be a good time. Celeste will also be coming in town for that, so I think it'll be a good way for us to hang out.
Awesome.
The gang's getting together.
Yeah.
Indeed. I think we're even trying to get you there, Lizzie. We were talking about it, I
can
believe.
totally get there.
If I'm able to get us some kind of live show recording at the Video Game Summit, I'm already in conversations with Todd and Dan and some of the other people that work there.
Awesome.
They're trying to get the infrastructure together for possibly doing some panels. I'm trying to have one of those panels be a live show for us, but this is all very new for the Video Game Summit, so it may happen, it may not. If it does, though, I think it's going to be at least the three of us, and hopefully Celeste as well, doing some kind of live show. Right now, it's in our docket that we'll be doing Water Temples as our live episode. I think that would be a great live episode. And so people
will be screaming and shouting and
yeah.
The room will
Leaving.
be divided.
This is a little early to announce it, but if you live in the Chicago area and you want to research the Video Game Summit, we are definitely going to be there. It is our intention to record a live episode there about water temples, and we don't have anything else. We're all still very early meetings about that, but I'll keep people updated, and that'll be later this summer. I think it's August or something like that, maybe June actually. Now that I think about it. So with that said, we'll see you all next week on our Midwest Gaming Classic episode. And Lizzie, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I know you drove in from Madison again, so we definitely appreciate the gesture and the
I'll
drive.
always come and hang out. I'll just stare at you guys as you record.
Sounds good. And Kate, thank you. This is weird. Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks
I'll
for
see you
being
next
you.
time.
Thank
I'll see you in 2 episodes, Kate.
Okay. Bye.